quick update. Let me show you. This is essentially it's the third place, and it will be my last place in Batumi. Let's get a little shot. Yeah, and this place is down there. This place is the third place, and I was doing a lot of night content, and I described the story of my experience being here so far. But to summarize it, I had some challenging experiences arriving here with a booking.com reservation. Turned out to be a nightmare. Essentially, no one was around, had no instructions, had no clear room. The hotel staff couldn't help me, the reception couldn't help me, the building was just terrible anyway, terrible energy, way too many people. And yeah, I had one of the first negative experiences traveling, really, since fucking moved to Vietnam. But yeah, ended up having to book a last minute Airbnb to a place, and realised after someone just entered into the room at 9 p.m. whilst I was essentially asleep, I was like, I can't fucking stay here either, and went through Airbnb support, by the way, shout out. They were fantastic. They were exactly the standard I needed. They were really, really good. And then end up getting in 24 hours of being here, I arrived to the third place essentially, and had a way better experience. I've got a spa here. It's right next to the Hilton. So there's great facilities in there. There's a restaurant. Everything's here. And I'm going to try and capture some more daytime content. I've been working today. I got up fairly early. Woke up around 5:30. Haven't been sleeping too great, but I woke up around 5:30. I was tossing and turning. I was in bed for a bit, but ended up eventually going down to the gym at around 8 a.m. And then I had a gym session, used a spa, and came out into the lobby bar, and I've just been on my laptop for the last, has to be at least 4 hours. And one thing, I'm not getting enough sunlight, and it is hot out here, so I'm feeling pretty tired. I don't just want to nap when I can potentially, I might even see if I can get back to, or even just go on the beach. You know, I've got a towel, a yoga mat. Mine's not functioning properly, a little bit sleep deprived. I am feeling better here though. I did the show yesterday where I went to the theatre. I mean, that's a different story altogether. But shout out to this 5-piece band that were performing the work of Hans Zimmer. Great show, great performance, great to be there to experience that. And I would say from that being one of the biggest anchor points that I came down here, on top of also wanting to come down here and experience it, I've experienced it, but I'm feeling good here now, settled in this. This is actually a different like the buildings are weird. It's like the same building. On one side there's the Hilton courtyard, and then there's the Palace Alliance. But nothing fancy with this room. This is a real mess right now. I'm literally living out a suitcase. But a better room. Just in comparison, what I had, this feels way better. And this is all just basic, super basic stuff. So I'm actually managing to get some footage out in the day. And there is 2 different types of energy for sure. Day and the nighttime. Part of me super wants to get one of these scooters, in fact. But right now I'm going for a little wander. I'm heading towards somewhere I can maybe get some food, some good decent food. I didn't eat last night, actually just ended up getting a super early night. No food. Saturday night I was like, I'm fucking exhausted. All this moving around. The other night as I was walking, I was telling the story of getting into 3 different, well, I'm in the 3rd one now, but in 24 hours I had changed places twice in Batumi for the reasons I disclosed in that video. But essentially I just had a nightmare booking it, and then things were happening, someone coming into my room for example unannounced. So I'm feeling a little bit more settled now. It's unbelievably good to have the spa. As soon as I've got the spa and the things, I'm good. You know, it's actually the restaurant next door, but the lobby was also a good place. I did like 4 hours of work there yesterday. Laptop open, had loads of good conversations with people. I'm hoping to do something similar today. And I definitely want to get out on the water at some point. Maybe even get in the sea, dip in there, get the power of the sea on me. Yeah, I'm pretty fucking hot. I'm obviously when you're carrying a bag and shit, everything doubles down. Everything's a little bit harder. So I'm sweating. So I'll see what happens, because I do remember I was walking down here the other day through the night and seeing some pretty cool places, and not going into any of them, but definitely want to find somewhere I can get the laptop. And hello friends, how you doing? And for the most part, one of them hats would be fucking good actually. One of them hats. I don't want to be carrying around too many hats. We used to go to London, Brighton, and we'd give stuff to the homeless people, especially around Christmas and stuff. And you really get to hear some people's stories. Like some people lost their entire family in accidents, and they can't get accommodation. You know, like obviously that puts them into a negative place. Stuff starts to spiral, and they can't find accommodation. And one of the reasons that they get almost stuck in a position on the street is because you can't really get anywhere without an address. And what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word I'm thinking of now, but the idea that you need to progress through making steps to get a home, to get a job. You can't really start doing that until you have an address. And those ice creams look fucking good. Those ice creams and donuts look good. Yeah, you can't get anywhere without an address, so you're kind of stuck. And then that can send you into a position of wanting more drink, wanting more drugs, being around more people, losing morale. So people are right to, and that's just one side of it, but people are right to be fuming right now about what's going on in the UK. And to see it in Hawley was interesting. I have loads of thoughts on it. Some are that the people, you know, like the British people, if you want to just put it simply, the people of the land, the people of the ground, the people that are coming off the bloodlines and the relatives of people that have put effort into the country, that have been there for generations. They need to become more organised. It's a little bit stupid, and I say that respectfully, because they're doing what they're doing and they don't know what else to do. And protests sometimes are an absolute waste of time, but then they're a very good symbol at times for things. One of them is that people are paying attention. They don't want the trouble. They don't want the aggro of. I mean, there's so many things, actually. There's so many things. It's difficult. This is more of a sit down. This is more having someone else across the table to talk about this with than me just riffing as I'm wandering around the beach town in fucking Georgia. But one of the things I've definitely felt, doesn't matter whether it's about the migrants, doesn't matter whether it's about the fucking scamdemic, doesn't matter whether it's about insert topic, there's never organisation. And that drives me a little bit mad. You know, the predictability of what the police are going to do. And in the case of Hawley, I'm sweating like a cunt. In the situation of Hawley, it's no different to what they do everywhere else. And it's the same counter-protesters that you see in Charlie Veitch's video that are in Manchester, that are in Liverpool, that are in London. It's the same group of paid counter-protesters, paid and funded by corporations that trickle down, that have agendas that are tied into the webs of other companies that really link to the government. They are it's a chess game. They are predictable. You know what's going to happen. And lo and behold, the police in Hawley had escorted the counter-protesters down to the hotel where the protesters were. And everything before that was quite peaceful. And then that's where the shouting and the conflict and the push and the shoving starts. It's and I can't help but keep fucking feeling this, because this is how I feel. But I just don't feel like I relate to fucking 85-90% of humans on this earth. I just don't feel like I'm even remotely close to any of that level. Now, if I was in Hawley, I probably would have taken this, and I was doing whatever, I would have taken this action cam and I would have probably captured some of the action. And, you know, then I'm just a body, another face, another thing there. But like, really, where the majority of time and energy is spent. Like, why am I here? What am I doing in Batumi, Georgia? What am I doing in general to better the earth? My perspective on things is way different. I don't believe in my country. You know, people say, get out of my country. I don't understand all that shit. Like I say, I was walking here a couple of nights ago, and I was talking about this. I'm travelling, been in quite a few places. I've been in America, I've been a lot of Europe, I've been to Asia. You're gonna find different cultures, different vibrations, different climates, different environments, yeah, but kind of similar themes everywhere. You got your food, you got your booze, you got your drugs, you got your sex, you got your entertainment, your music, you got your fights, you got your crime. Like, pretty predictable everywhere you go. This looks like a good gaff. This could be a spot. Could be a spot. Maybe. But yeah, you've got the same things everywhere. And the like, my country. This is my country. Get out of my country. There's a level of, I understand certain people shouldn't be on that land, especially if they're being given luxury treatment. You know, I understand it, but I don't. I feel like right now, even though, and I can stay in Georgia for a year with my passport, I could be here for a year. That's actually a great feeling. But who fucking decides that? You know what I mean? And if you get into the webs of politics and economies, you're always going to find a reason. But I'm stripping it down to the simplicity. How can you own land? You know, how can you own land? No one's creating land. They're working on it. They're building on it, and you're not creating it. So how can you own land? You're not. You're a custodian. We are custodians of the land. So my country, well, it's not my country. What the fuck does that mean? It's all land. There's a unification. Everything's connected. Like countries as a concept. Flags, countries, it's a concept of separation. And with the consciousness, it should be celebrated, but without the consciousness, it creates division. And that's like undeniably the feeling in me. Like this earth, limited to what it is, and it fucking is limited. It's a small place. This earth is all of ours. All of ours. And if we're in a position where we're arguing over my country, this country, that country, and it just starts to open these holes and petty arguments rather than realizations. And you can tell how someone thinks and how they either add or take away from society, or whatever it is, about what they talk about. And that's why you'll never catch me. You'll never catch me at a protest, like seriously, chanting the same shit that everyone else is chanting. It just won't happen. Because those chants represent a belief system or an ideology. And if you hold on to that belief system, it becomes you. And I don't want to become that. I don't want to be a part of that at all. I want to be fucking separate from all of it. Don't want nothing to do with it. But I can be around it and I can enjoy it. Like, I can come to the beach and not get in the water. You know? It's not imposed upon you, or if you're down on the beach you have to get in that sea. No, I'm just on the beach. But I don't want to get in the sea and the cesspit of the ideologies and the belief systems of the parties, right wing, left wing, everything. To me, it's all bullshitty. But within it, there is deeper truths. There's more integrity in certain parts. It's another great outdoor gym here. This is a good gym. That's like almost a little bit like Venice Beach or whatever it is. So yeah, and that's the thing about my content. My content's so random. I realize that as I'm wandering around. Like my perspective and view on things is so different. Like, I don't give a fuck about the majority of what people spend their energy on. Yeah, I don't care. So I want to express what I have to express from my heart, And people are going to understand it or they're not. Some people are going to resonate with it or not. Some people are going to hear it and go, oh my God, thank God I'm not alone. You know, you're really going to relate to me. And I think it's more rare to see that content. You know, it's very easy to see the content that's involved with it. I am dripping now. Dripping with sweat. So yeah, it's more almost my duty to just capture what I'm doing. Yeah, and just put it out there raw. Let people decide what it is. Let it become what it's supposed to be. Not force it too much. There is some good places here. I'm not going to walk too much further, and then I might loop back. But yeah, I was watching some clips of what happened in Hawley, and it just reminds me, like, where I got really involved was in the entire scamdemic. Like, I was what felt like in my community, in my space, in my environment, one of the loudest about it, because I, in my own way, had my own protests of not wearing a mask, going into shops, going into places, and it was all fresh. 2020, not being told what to do, and just having the interactions with people that were needed, where people, you know, because people were just scared of being confronted or being told to wear something. And when people were asking me, I remember there was one particular woman, and we walked into a supermarket to get some apples, and she was like, "Do you guys have your masks?" And or something like that. And I went, "Oh yeah, they're in the car. Yeah. You got yours, right?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I said, "You feel safe, yeah?" She goes, "Yep." And I said, "Good. That's all that matters, then, isn't it?" And she didn't say anything else. And what had helped me happen, I just took complete frame in the conversation. You know, took complete frame. What I could have done. That's an interesting little McDonald's spot. Look at that. Ice cream and coffee. If it weren't a milkshake, if it was like a fucking more refreshing, I'm looking for like a smoothie or some shit. But yeah, I remember that was, I don't want to go across here now, don't want to wander too far. I just remember it was about not causing arguments, not causing beef, not trying to like convince people of things. It was more me trying to manage and fight to keep my sovereign sanity. That was a big thing for me. It's just to keep my fucking independence. I'm not being told what to do. And in particular emergency situations, I remember in hospital, for example, when not only did Amy go through the miscarriage, it was twice. Not only was we was going through the pregnancy stuff, Amy went through the miscarriage, and then of course, I don't know if people fully know the story, but if you do any research, you look at what Amy puts out. We went through birth. We went through how many weeks? It was a long pregnancy. It was a long pregnancy because we was doing a free birth. So we didn't get intervened, they didn't induce us, we wasn't anything to do with the hospital, because the experience we had through 2020, we weren't interested. And we weren't interested. So we ended up having a free birth, went for a really long pregnancy, went through 65 hours of labour together at home, just me and Amy, in the pool. And Amy actually gave birth to Aoife. And somewhat maybe like a few hours before. There was complications inside, and she was stillborn. She was born sleeping. And that story, for me, that story is almost a result of everything that was happening during 2020. Well, it's everything that's happened since 2020. And I remember just fighting for my independence. It's way too noisy there. I'm gonna go get on this grass for a sec. So yeah, we've been through a hell of a lot in the last few years, and the experiences of 2020 and dealing with the intense stupidity of people, to the colossal detriment of our well-being, our health, and even our care. Like when we did go in the first time, Amy was at 12 weeks. She went for a miscarriage, and she was just bleeding out at home. We was going through this process for like 7 hours before we really had to take action. I was like, okay, so Amy's losing a lot of blood here. We need to do something about it. So we were forced to call in ambulance, and at this time we were involved with the hospitals around birth. We were doing things more privately, but still involved the hospitals. And I always remember it was peak of 2020 and the fear. And I could tell you a lot of details, but one is we walked in to the emergency room. It's a story. It literally is a story. Mind-blowing story. But we walked in, I didn't have a mask on, I wasn't interested in any of that. You know, Amy's bleeding. And she's in this life-threatening situation because she's losing a lot of blood. And I remember, like, that was all secondary, it seemed. It was like a complete shambles, because way too loud. This is where I was the other day. I'm gonna continue with that story, but this is where I was the other day. I was in Batumi Theatre, and in the theatre, trying to listen to a 5-people orchestra band, all I could hear was this outside. And now I've got my camera and stick. I'm gonna poke it over the wall and see what they're doing, because they're obviously rehearsing for something. Someone's obviously performing. It's fucking loud though. Yeah, there's a big old stage there. It almost sounded like a fake crowd that they were playing through the speakers the other night, but if it was a real crowd, there's a lot going on in there. But to the story anyway, we got into the emergency room. Amy's losing a lot of blood. Like, really, within the same hour, we should have had blood in her. And we were there for maybe another 7 hours. They lost blood twice. They kept taking more blood. It was ridiculous. Whole different story. You would not believe how much of a disservice the hospital did us. But the one story I'm touching on now is I remember this guy, he forcefully put a mask in my hand, and I put it straight in my pocket, and he was just an arsehole. To this day I would love to see that guy again, and I would have no shame, no fear in just smacking him straight hard across the face, because I remember him being like, can you put your mask on please? I said, I don't think that's the most important thing right now, is it? And he goes, you're gonna have to put it on. I said, well, no, I don't. Because what you lot are doing is all bullshit. And bear in mind the emotions that I'm going through. The emotions I'm going through as a man, being there with Amy, kind of powerless. And I said, it's bullshit, innit? And he like flipped out. He's like, right, I'm gonna get security. I remember it caused this little hustle, and I don't know exactly what had been happening, but the sense I got was they had to throw people out, or they've had arguments about people wearing masks and stuff like this. I mean, it's an important story to tell for sure, and I will tell it. I will tell it to anyone that wants to know. And this is something, again, I believe is probably better in conversation, that people can ask questions. But it's just, I just remember that moment and putting this mask on, because someone had come up to me, and in the sense I got, he was like, trust me, just put it on just for now, because there was this sense that they were going to remove me from Amy, and that was completely unacceptable. So I had to go through a death. I had to go through this ego death to put this fucking stupid thing on my face. And I remember doing that. Happened a couple times in the emergency situations we experienced. And I just remember thinking, how do people willingly do this? Like, and this loops back to my point. I don't know how else to say it, but it's like I am either not a human, or I am a human and no one else is human. Whatever way you try to look at it, but what I'm saying is, it just doesn't feel like, for the majority of people on Earth, I'm even remotely close to operating at the level that they're at, and vice versa. So in the grand scheme of like what I'm talking about with protests and people like My Country and the things that they find, that it's the public wave, it's the mainstream of information, that there's cases where you've got to do something about it. Like in 2020, it was an opportunity for people to realize how dumb, I don't give a fuck, how fucking stupid people are. How unbelievable, like queuing up for hours to get an injection into something that they were telling you, they were saying to you. Oh, by the way, there's like a 99.9% survival rate. But we don't want your grandma to die. Ridiculous. This is something I do feel passionate about, so I get why people protest. I just knew protests weren't it. It weren't the answer. But it does visualize. There was some great protests. It does show you the visual, helps you visualize how many people are, somewhat there taking a stand for it. But then the reality of the situation is, if you end up going back to your normal job, 9 to 5, and you follow all the rules again, but okay, you're speaking about it in the shadows to people, it just weren't good enough. You had to do something in the light. And there reveals the nature of society, the fear of losing a job, the need and the tide, slavery to money. You're a slave to money, then you die. As Richard Ashcroft said, you're a slave to money, then you die. Yeah, just the reality of the situation, I can't because of my job. Oh, I'm just doing my job. I remember that. You can even, if you're watching this on YouTube and if it goes out, if Amy puts this out, go back and just look at some of the interactions I had with energy companies and quote unquote bailiffs. Go and have a look, and you'll see the numb mindlessness of I'm just doing my job. I'm just doing my job. If you're just willing to be soulless and do as you're told, then couple that with the awareness that people are occupying this earth, ruthless and satanic, and you do what you're told, you end up doing really bad things without realizing it to your own people. I'm gonna wander in here and see what this is about. Whew. Fuck me, I needed that. So I was talking about a lot there, and spoke about some things I've never spoken about. One of them being the situation that me and Amy went through. And I guess I haven't spoken about it a lot. The same reason I needed to come and have some time off, I guess, is because when that happened with Aoife, something lit up in me. As soon as I got Amy home, which in the grand scheme of things wasn't that long. I think it was maybe like 4 days. As soon as I got her home, I went into a different mode and completely committed myself to not be broke anymore. And I kind of did that. I achieved that, actually. I'm always looking at the scale of what I want to achieve, so I definitely I don't feel like, you know, I'm kind of complete in a sense, but nowhere near complete. I got myself out of the cycle that I was in that enables me to be outside of the UK right now whilst all that shit is going on. And a question to really think, if you're from the UK and you're watching this, a question to really think about is, can you see, thank you man, appreciate you bro, thank you. Yeah, can you see it getting better? That's a question. You know, really think about it. In the next, let's say 5 years, you know, because there is an agenda, quite literally, yeah, agenda 2030 or whatever it is. Can you see it getting better in the UK? Is it going to get better? Are the protests going to make it different? Are all the migrants that are now in the country? This is another thing. If you want to avoid something, don't let it in. Don't let it in. If you don't want to become addicted to cigarettes, don't smoke. If you don't want to become an alcoholic, so forth and so forth, right? You are fighting an uphill battle, sometimes unwinnable, when you let someone in. People that have like had shit taken from their house, for example, by authorities, companies, private companies. They were let in the house. People had the door open. Don't let anything in, right? But now these, oh great, I'm going to be dealing with this fly. But now these illegals are in the country. Are they going to come out? No. What's going to happen? Well, they're obviously bringing in, which has been spoken about for ages. If you don't have a respectable feeling towards someone like David Icke, if you don't respect someone like that, it tells me a hell of a lot about you. It tells me a hell of a lot about you. If you are quick to judge, I believe right now you have an infection in your mind. I believe that you have been conditioned to a sense where you can't rationalize, ground, understand, or even take the time and energy to learn. Because what David Icke's been talking about for over 30 years is essentially slowly playing out every year. And the digital ID, think about it, problem, reaction, solution. Fabricate a problem, get a reaction from the people. It's happening right now with the migrants. Then insert a solution. That solution was actually on the back end that you wanted to insert anyway. If you're smart, you just realise they're smart. And dumb cunts follow it for it. Right? You're just stupid. Right? A lot of people, when I speak like that, I know a lot of people are like, Charlie, you got to have compassion for people. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. It doesn't mean it's personal to them. It's just facts. It's just the reality of what it is. If you understand that there's stupid people in the world, if you understand that there's dumb cunts there, they do exist. End of story. They exist. And the people that are served the solution can't also recognize patterns. So they bring in a digital ID that tracks you, and smart cities, ultra low emission zones with a global warming scam, and everything that's happening. UK is a great example where they're looking to implement it all. Now, one thing I want to make clear is I love, support and commend all the people that aren't taking it, even if there's some things that they go about it that I don't think that are too articulate, I don't think it's too wise, I don't think it's too smart. I'm not at all criticising or judging or anything at all. If you do something about it, I love that, I support that. But what is it going to look like? Truly, what will it look like? Because more and more people are leaving the UK. More and more people are realising, even if you don't leave the UK, you just want to work online like I do, like Amy does, like what we did. We were running amazing businesses. Why were we broke all the time? I spoke to a friend yesterday. I spoke to a friend that's running a good business in an evergreen industry. Meaning it's never going to go out. It's like always going to be there. And he does okay. He does fucking good revenue every year. But what he pays in VAT was making me sick. Sick to my stomach. I'm about this, right? You can only help when you're in a position to help. And what I realised I needed to go and do was, and this is what I've been doing the last 3 years, is put everything into helping myself and my family. Without compromising anyone else. I'm not robbing people, I'm not doing stupid shit. Like, just for the well-being of like, what am I not going to let absorb my energy anymore? Why is my energy being so taken up by, like, through 2020 until like 2023, I learned a lot about how they pulled the scam off, how they pulled that off. I could tell you a lot about it. You can bring me some scholar, university, some doctor. I will school them because they come from the same system that's conditioned them to believe that there was a pandemic. So it doesn't matter what education you have. If you believe that, you're a fucking idiot. So I know what it was like to learn and study and put my mind to it and understand how they orchestrated it, not only from what was happening, from the research and what was happening everywhere, but from my own experiences. More importantly, from my own experiences, seeing it firsthand in the hospital situations with Amy, in accounts of friends that had been in nursing homes and stuff like that. So I had to ask myself, what am I doing learning all this when I'm broke? I can't do anything. Andrew Tate kicked me up the arse, and I was just like, this guy is annoying if you don't know how to get your ego out of the way. It's fucking super annoying, that guy. But that's the point. It was annoying enough for me to do something about it, and then I went all in on making sure I can make money. The goal was just to make money for a laptop. I didn't know what it was going to be. It's just like, I'm going to figure out where all this money is being made online, and I'm going to start to take money seriously. I'm going to start to earn it, and things started to change. And now I look at it like this, and this comes from my own experience, from my own honesty, and humbly, I was probably finding reasons finding excuses to put my energy into, although I was very interested, and I still am, to put off what I actually needed to do. And I believe that's what happens with a lot of people. I think they find outlets to be passionate about, to fight for, which is really a distraction for them not to do the work. That's happening a lot. I'm not talking in blanket statements. There's never just this like one rule fits all. But it's happening a lot. There's a fucking moron right now that claims to be a part of what, how do I articulate this? There's a set of laws that can't be changed. They give us rights, unalienable rights, right? They can't be taken away from us. And they're attempted to be through conditioning that we don't have them and enforcement of what takes them away. And there's people in that community that I was around. When you stand up to the energy companies and you learn that paying energy and everything is a fucking scandal, you surround yourself with that community and you see in that community there's a lot of people that are aware of it. They don't want to do it, but they're lacking so many other fundamental areas. And some of it is, again, just an excuse. It's just the next thing for someone else to distract themselves with so they don't have to do any real fucking work. So I know that from my experience, there's people in that community that claim, that they want to stand for common law or lawful rights and not screw people over and to be integral and to have honour and everything like that. That will completely dishonour the people around you, including the people that fucking open up their heart to help you out. And that's what I'm experiencing right now. With a fucking idiot back in my... It's not mine, by all means, but it's where we lived, an apartment that we opened up for someone to live there with and had an agreement, and he's just completely fucking betrayed it. And I'm not going to go into the details of that, but he's completely fucking betrayed it, and he claims to be a part of this community. This is the reality of the situation. When you are not able to focus on the real shit and do what matters, it turns you into someone that's going to lose integrity and principles. You're going to lose it because you don't care. Which is why we also see this behaviour. There was a clip I saw the other day, someone just taking bagsfuls of wine from a petrol station, and it was a great video. The guy was like, "Can you put the wines back, man?" It was like a petrol station clerk, and he's witnessing this guy put all this stuff in my bag. He's like, "Mate, I ain't got a choice. I've got to do this to feed my kids. I've got to do this to feed my family. Blah blah blah." And he's like, "Mate, do the right thing. Put it back. Put it back." And he's like, "No, I can't do that." And I don't know if that was just a code or just a way of getting out of the situation, just to walk out with 2 bags full of wine. But it highlights the principle that people do things immorally when they're in desperate situations. Desperation kicks in. So what's the answer? Try not to be desperate. How do you not be desperate? Be abundant. And that's all airy-fairy. It doesn't really mean much. What does that mean, Charlie? Be abundant. Abundance, first of all, does start spiritually. Say what you like, but it starts spiritually. You have spiritual abundance. But once you get there, start to make money. Or start to earn money. Because you can't make it. You start to earn some serious money. Not trading your time and energy for something you're not really interested in, or blah 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 blah. Like, start to find a way to earn way more for what you do better than most people, rather than doing something average where none of your natural skills and talents are maybe being utilized, or if they are, they're unfortunately in a low paying job, or even if it's a high paying job, it's in an economy where most of your money is being stolen by a government. So there's loads of reasons. And I find all the things that I'm talking about is part of my mission of what I'm trying to do, which is right now, I want to find a foundation. So I want to find a place on earth to just settle for a bit, have an actual home, not have to leave every 90 days, have an actual home and start to cultivate and build what I was doing back in the UK that I couldn't do because of the reasons. Again, it's almost like the rug's always getting swept from underneath you, and you just got to keep adapting and moving. And sometimes I wonder why I'm not better at certain things, like even boxing and shit like that, right? Why am I not better at boxing? I can think of loads of excuses in my head. I could just be like, oh Charlie, just go boxing, just show up, keep doing this. Yeah, true. But then again, if you look at my life and look at how much changing all the time, because I'm always changing, which is growth, for the record, it's growth spiritually, mentally and physically. I'm not operating like the average 9-to-5er that can, work and then put the time into a hobby or a craft to do that and stay in one place. I'm not doing that. I don't fit the norm, so I can't be the norm. And what I really wanted from that apartment that we had in the UK was never going to happen. Never. It was just a few weeks in before I realised that. I was like, oh shit. It's good to be in here, but like, it's only a matter of time before we're out, right? But I want to find a home now where I can just, I think this is the goal, and I think if most people can find this and work towards this and earn this, they're really in a position to give back and help, and that's ultimately what I'm here to do, is serve. So I need to be able to play music, I need to be creative, I need to not worry about fucking noise complaints. I can't be in an apartment building, I can't be around poor people, I can't be around other people's stress. I have to have my own space with my own family, because me and Amy live very differently. And Amy will tell you that now. The reality of the situation she's dealing with by living where she's living back at her mum's and her stepdad's, as much as we love them and they are family, they live so differently. And there's certain things you just can't compromise on or go back on once you've done it. One of them is like drink tap water, such as something like that, drink tap water. And then when you start to learn about health, you realise you're being poisoned and chemicalised everywhere. It's an industry that a lot of people are spending most of their money on. And that's unfortunately one of the realities of what Amy's kind of dealing with now back in the UK. Our house is usually full of sage, incense sticks, Palo Santo. We're burning like natural remedies. We cleanse the energy space. We just have great energy. We really purify a space. We live as holistically as possible. We have a machine that filters water and ionizes it and changes pH level. We have a machine that's worth $5,000. Like we put a lot of effort and energy into that. So when you've got a house that's got like plug-in electric diffusers that give off carcinogens, basically chemicals that cause cancer, cause headaches, disrupt endocrine systems and hormone systems that people can't operate greatly, so their gut is imbalanced, so their hormones and their mood is just all over the place, and then they're inflamed. I mean, I'm not gonna continue, but it's bad. And me and Amy are very close to finding at least the next foundational spot that we haven't really had in ages. And I'm looking forward to being more creative again, because I'm a very creative individual. And if you've ever had me cook for you, you ever listened to me DJ back in the day, if you ever just like been around me, you'll know that I'm very creative. And that's why I think I've been so focused on earning money, working, next thing, solving problems, being in high stress situations, high stress situations for real, but getting good money for it. Fucking yeah, that's great. But it's being a little bit imbalanced. It's starting to become imbalanced, so I had to have some time off. So it makes sense to me why I needed to work so hard, why I needed to focus and get us to where we were. And I didn't just do that alone. Me and Amy are a great partnership and companionship. We really are a great team together. She is my family, she is my wife. But I've got to find a way of foundationally creating an environment and a lifestyle where I can have both simultaneously when needed. Because life is about seasons and cycles and waves. And I need to go through seasons and cycles of my creative energy. I have to have every day. I need access to supplementation like cannabis. I need access to tools and things that change your brainwave state, things that can enable you to get out of the funk of what everyday life brings for the greater good of the holistic cycle. And what does everyone really want in life? They want to be in a position where they don't compromise on what they want, right? So that's what I'm working towards. Pretty exhausted. However, I'm back. And the good thing is I'm back at this apartment. I always make an effort to get connected with the host, on like a super friendly level. And there's so many benefits to not having to move into a new location and essentially learn your surroundings and your environment. I feel super tired. I've got some food on the way. I'm currently unpacking. Headache. It's probably just being on the train trying to sleep. I did get a little bit of sleep on there, but the train's about 5.5 hours. Never comfortable. Super glad to be back in here. And I know this area now, so got a couple of friends here. There's a steakhouse that I regularly go to. I've got the gym, I've got the spa. And my goal is to just make the most out of what I have available to me in Georgia until I plan reuniting with Amy, which has been probably... So I got here July the 30th. Me and Amy will probably reconnect, I would say, maybe like the 7th of September. Just chucking a date out there. Definitely before the 10th. And that would have been the longest me and Amy have ever had a break together. So yeah, I'm pretty tired. I can feel myself struggling to string sentences together. So I'm going to do a little update and fill up this memory card on this camera, and then I will... There's my order. I have a mailing list. Would you believe it? And that mailing list is where I provide all exclusive, uncensored information, wisdom, tools, free resources, invitations. All the kind of basic stuff. And I realized what I have to offer often gets me pulled off social media. So the only way I can give you this direct source of wisdom is on the mailing list.
Just shut your mouth. Well, have you?